Hello and welcome back to another episode of... Today we look at more images compiled from the Liminal Space text channel. Believe it or not, we're actually still on May 14th, 2021. And if you don't know, this video is being recorded as of February 10th, 2022. I fear for when there is a year overlap of these images. As of now, I am actually still allowing images for the store image prompt. If you were expecting them to be this episode, I do apologize for the inconvenience. I thought it'd be only fair to give everybody a full week. However, that window will only remain open for so long. As for now, let's do what we do best and continue with what we know. Jumping straight into our first image. Kicking things off, we're presented with a fake environment created in Cinema 4D. At least that's what Ralph said when he posted this image. Cinema 4D is a 3D software application similar to Blender or Maya. The scene is focused on a room outside, almost like looking through a window of sorts. Yet the entirety of the image besides said window is completely black. This makes it so all we can perceive is this box room with a door. Dark of All Traits actually pointed out that Ralph's scene looks similar to Spooky's jump scare mansion, and doing so submitted this. If you ignore the health and stamina bar, it makes for a pretty solid image. The game itself has an old graphic-y feel, adding that sprinkle of nostalgia. There's no visible exits or entrances, yet we know that this is some sort of restaurant, due to this wall that obstructs most of the image. Similar to the graphics, the foggy environment is just one more layer to the image. Lastly, these pitch black windows that you can't see anything out of are the icing to the ice cream cake of isolation. Yeah! Hopping back into reality, here we have more of a typical scene, although I'm unsure of what these buildings are supposed to be. Part of a gate is present, so we know that much. There's an entire car just placed right here, which adds more than subtracts, due to it having sort of a mysterious element. Most of the image is taken up by night sky, so this building complex area appears small. It also seems like this gate is the only entrance, and upon entering, this will just be a maze of different non-distinguishable buildings. The green water featured in this photo only adds to the already creepy atmosphere of the white rusty stairs, which seems to continue on even past the water. If I had to take a guess, I would say that this is some sort of abandoned facility. I believe it is abandoned due to how rusty these stairs are, and with the water being this grimy green. The supposed facility would have to have been built with these stairs and walkways before there was water here, unless somehow they built it in the water, but I just don't find that to be very likely. I'm gonna make one last assumption about this image, and just assume that whoever took this wasn't trying to frame a liminal space image. Not that it doesn't look like one, but it's clearly just a photo for photo's sake. This is a pretty awesome environment that I would love to photograph. I mention this, however, because you can actually see a light being pointed down in this photo, illuminating where the water meets the stairs. It actually allows us to see more detail, an effect that was most likely intentional. Okay, I've been doing different liminal space image analyses for almost over a year now. If it's not pretty apparent, I don't actually have a surefire method for breaking down images. Normally I just go for whatever I find to be the most interesting aspect of the image. Usually that means finding what stands out the most and working backwards. If it means that I'm interested enough to look at the location itself and try to figure out where it is and talk about that, then so be it. If I'm just to talk about the colors and the lighting in the image, then so be it. If I'm to purely talk about the liminality in the photo, then so be it. All I hope to do is add something to whatever photography, image, or art piece I happen to be going over. Of course, there will be times where I often look at images and find nothing visually interesting, see little to no elements of liminality, or find no focus or subject that catches my attention. Now I'll be the first to admit that this is partly due to looking at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of images. It can get to a certain point where an image that normally would be of pretty good quality automatically just drops down in my head to an image. I hope I'm not coming off as discouraging, rather I want to be the opposite, encouraging. When making art of any kind, it's not a bad idea to find or at least have some sort of purpose. Whether that's to evoke a certain emotion, or just the need to want to share what you've created with those around you. I want to make it clear that something being meaningful is different from something being purposeful. An image doesn't have to contain meaning, but it should serve some sort of purpose. However, having a purpose can give your piece meaning. Art is subjective, and everyone has their own process. I just thought I'd share my lens a little. Figuring out what you're trying to communicate through your piece is the first step to taking great images. So when you see a location that resonates with you, think about what you can do to make an already visually interesting photo even more interesting. To connect it not only with yourself, but with others. Now that we have some sort of understanding, we can take a look at the last 3 images, all taken, sent in, and submitted by Phil Snare. So there are 3 photos that I've collected for the remainder of this video. Each of these photos has a purpose, seeking to capture environments that feel liminal. The first one is abandoned imagery, with the second pair containing scenes of a dental office. However, there's one problem with these images. Phil Snare was unable to obtain any clear photos. Similar to our first image, all these images are taken from outside of a window. However, unlike Cinema 4D, Phil Snare isn't able to manipulate themselves through walls. Rather, just like you and I, they are bound to the limitations of what humans can synthesize through their tools. In this case, a camera. Due to this, Phil Snare's images are blurry and lack a focal point. While I appreciate Phil Snare taking these photos and even going as far to share them, similar to the last video, these images are a little telling. While the opportunity for a great liminal space might present itself, it's not always a guarantee your image is going to turn out amazing, especially when you're physically limited. Even if you find the most interesting subject or the coolest location, it's still your responsibility to give that space purpose, which ultimately makes your image meaningful. Phil Snare has a purpose with these photos, but the lack of clarity makes them seem purposeless. They seem as if they're taken just for an image's sake, and because they found what they consider a liminal space. To find a meaning in an image is subjective. For an image to serve a clear purpose, that's objective. So next time when you think about capturing a liminal space, think about what purpose your image serves. Otherwise, you might find that these empty spaces that occupy our world truly have no meaning. So hopefully you enjoyed this much more episodic approach I took to the video, rather talking about the subject of analysis and art as a whole. If you didn't, feel free to let me know below. If you did enjoy it, also feel free to let me know. The feedback is always much appreciated. Next week we'll be going through the images you all submitted, so hopefully this can be something to look forward to as we go through our week. I'll see you next time, and as always, thank you for watching, and take care.